For the past years, Malaysian household debt has been increasing at an alarming rate. As an instance, in 2008, the household debt percentage was 60% of the country GDP. In 2019, it has risen by 22% to 82% of our GDP. Have you ever wondered why does this increment happen? Is it because of our modern lifestyle in the 21st century? Or is it because of the high prices of land and houses in the country? Or is it just simply the excess of money creation through the credit system? To better understand this situation, we must understand what is actually household debt. According to the Malaysian Central Bank, BNM, household debts could be defined as the amount of money owed by households to borrowers to buy houses, private assets, shares, motor vehicles, and bank cards. The data shows the number of bankruptcy cases in Malaysia. As of 2019, the total cases for bankruptcy since 2019 is 84,805 cases. So how can we tackle this problem? Firstly, we must analyze where this debt comes from. From the data taken in the year of 2002 until 2013, it shows the largest proportion of household debts in Malaysia is coming from the housing loan, which holds almost 50% of the household debt. Another concern is the increasing credit card spending among the Malaysians. And finally, the biggest concern in our discussion is the level of financial literacy of Malaysians, which is surprisingly low in the era of technology and information. And now, let's take a look on the issue's rise of household debt in Malaysia. Firstly is housing loan. In March 2018, from hprop.my, Bank Negara Malaysia, through their BNM Financial Stability and Payment System report, reported that loans for the purchase of residential properties remain the largest component of household debt, which represent 52% of total household loans. As housing loans make up half of household debt, it reflects the affordability issues among households in purchasing houses. In another news, Bernama also reported that houses in Malaysia are seriously unaffordable according to the international standards including Demographia International World Bank, United Nations and also Harvard University. A study from Bank Negara Malaysia has revealed the outstanding housing loans in the country for the year 2015 until the first quarter of 2020. From the graph, it indicates that the outstanding housing loan keep rising per annum from 400 billion ringgit in 2015 to 613 billion ringgit in the first quarter of 2020. Not only that, the outstanding housing loans also keep rising on a quarterly basis. We can conclude that there is a great demand for housing loans from households to assist them in making payment for houses. The chart by the National Property Information Centre has shown median house prices in Malaysia for the year of 2010 until the first quarter of 2018. The report shows that annual median house prices continue to increase over the years from 158,000 ringgit in 2010 to 303,000 in 2017. There is a huge increment of 47.06% in the median house price between the year of 2012 with 170,000 ringgit and the year of 2013 with 250,000 ringgit. We can conclude that it is cheaper and more reasonable for households to purchase houses back in 2010 if compared to nowadays. Moreover, what is more worrying is that a huge proportion of people who are involved with housing loans have been declared bankrupt after failing to settle their borrowings to the lenders. Statistics from Malaysia Department of Insolvency show over 10,685 number of bankruptcy cases caused by housing loans between 2015 until 2019. Although we could see that there is a declining trend from 2017 with 2,675 cases, to 1138 cases in 2019. But the figure still represents a large number of borrowers that turned out as bankrupt. This figure also totally signifies not only how serious the scenario is regarding housing loans that can turn the borrowers into bankruptcy, but this is also a warning for all Malaysians, especially the borrowers for housing loans, to become more careful in terms of evaluating their finance before starting a loan. The second issue is on credit card. In September 2018, the Star reported a news regarding the credit card loan issue among adolescents. As reported, 47% of youths from Malaysia have a high credit card loan still outstanding. Meanwhile, 38% of them also have personal loans. This is said by BNM Assistant Governor Nazrul Hisham Mohamad Noor. Data from Bank Negara Malaysia reveals that over the past 8 to 10 years, outstanding balances of credit cards usage in Malaysia has shown an increasing trend in our country. From RM24861 in January 2010 to RM28503 in January 2011. The outstanding balances keep rising tremendously to RM35336 in February 2013 before it begins to slowly decline to RM32882 in the same year, 2013. Between 2013 until 2018, we can see that the outstanding balances from the usage of credit cards by Malaysia turned out to increase from year to year. As of October 2010, the balance is RM36067. From the graph, we can make justification that not only there is an increment of the total unpaid amount on credit cards of Malaysians, but total money owed from bank also increased. Statistics from Malaysia Department of Insolvency show that there are 7881 cases of bankruptcy which comes from credit card loans users from 2015 until 2019. From the graph, we can see that the number of bankruptcy cases is rising from 1170 cases in 2015 to 2247 cases in 2016 before it starts declining a year later with 1173 cases. Then, the number of cases rose very slightly to 1811 cases in 2018, but surprisingly, there is a large decline from 1811 cases to 880 cases in 2019. However, we cannot assume that although the cases are quite low with only 3 digits number, because the total outstanding balance of credit cards is still very high and hence it can contribute to the number of bankruptcy cases if the credit card users are not responsible towards their obligations. And the last issue is on financial literacy. According to the Malaysia National Strategy for Financial Literacy 2019 until 2023 by Financial Education Network, there are a few indicators to reflect the current state of financial literacy in Malaysia. First, Malaysians have low confidence regarding their own financial knowledge, which 1/3 Malaysians rate themselves to be of low financial knowledge. Second, households with low income earners also tend to have low financial literacy. Third, 75% of Malaysians understand that inflation means that cost of living is rising, but only 38% can relate the effect of inflation on their own purchasing power. However, we also might want to question how these data are very crucial, especially when we want to know the position of Malaysia compared to other countries in level of mastery of financial literacy. From OECD and INFE, the International Survey of Adult Financial Literacy Competency, we could see and need to acknowledge that Malaysia is still far behind from other countries in terms of financial literacy. we can see that Malaysia only got a total of 12.3% average score for financial knowledge, attitudes and behavior. This result is relatively low compared to other developing countries like China, Albania, Hungary and even our neighboring country, which is Thailand. In addition, if we want to make comparisons with developed countries such as France, Canada and Norway, these countries' performance also are much better than us. And we could conclude that the citizens in developed countries have better understanding of financial literacy, which makes the way they spend more smarter. In other words, we could assume the majority of Malaysians do not know how to manage their finance wisely and will be extravagant when doing their purchases. What is financial literacy very significant in this case? It is simply because when people have poor knowledge of financial literacy, they will tend to make loans and eventually be unable to repay their obligation to banks or any financial institution. And as a consequence, they will go bankrupt and even worse, some may fall into poverty. There are also numerous headlines in the newspaper that portray how serious the financial literacy and management issues in our country. For instance, in March 2019, Need for Financial Literacy is written by The Star, and back then in April 2017, Warning over Overspending Challenges is written by the Malaysian Reserve. Despite all the issues, the government also has provided some solutions to overcome household debts in Malaysia. First is on housing loan. The government had come up with a few ideas to overcome the issue of housing loans. Firstly is Rumah Mesra Rakyat Program, which is RMR, and initially called Scheme Rumah Nelayan Terengganu. The RMR program was launched in 2002 with the aim to help lower income earners like fishermen, farmers and poor families without homes or access to land, and to build and own more comfortable and affordable homes. This RMR program is under the supervision of Syarikat Perumahan Negara Berhad (SPNB), a national housing development company under the purview of Ministry of Housing and Local Government (KPKT). Since 2002, this program has built over 40,000 houses for those in need. Another housing project launched by the government is the Prima Homes. Prima Homes is an affordable housing project established under the Prima Act 2012. The aim of this project is to plan, develop, construct and maintain the high-quality housing for middle-income households in key urban areas. The Prima Homes are priced between RM100,000 until RM400,000. The next solution is on providing financial counseling service. In 2006, the Credit Counselling and Debt Management Agency, or commonly known as Agensi Counselling dan Perusahaan Kredit (AKPK), was set up by the Central Bank. It was established to help individuals to take control of their financial situation and gain peace of mind that comes from the wise use of credit. AKPK provides services such as financial education, financial counseling and debt management program that all free of charge. In 2019, AKPK provided 117,000 credit counseling cases, approved 49,000 debt management program, and deliver financial education program to almost 787,000 adult consumers. And the last solution is on Malaysia National Strategy for Financial Literacy in 2019 until 2023. Due to the low rate of financial literacy among citizens in Malaysia, in 2019, the government established its National Strategy for Financial Literacy, and its objective is to elevate financial literacy of Malaysians and promote responsible behavior and rational attitudes. The strategy has outlined its action plan in 5 steps to achieve financial well-being. The action plans are: first, nurture values from young. Second, increase access to financial management information, tools and resources. Third, inculcate positive behavior among targeted groups. Fourth, boost long-term financial and retirement planning. And lastly, building and safeguarding wealth. Last but not least, there is still household debt and it will continue to be constant. But instead of adding the debt, the household must know how to manage the debt. Any household burdened with huge debts must obtain financial advice quickly because debts may carry inflation to the economy, which can have a negative effect on the country. As we know, overspending is one of the main issues that can be a cause for an individual in debt. So, we should stop spending too much because sometimes items we've bought are needed but a will. In the end, we all have to play our part. Let's help lower the debt together. And then there's a saying, better to go starving to bed than to wake up in debt.